Alright, so continuing my Halo Infinite benchmarking, I decided let's try out Ultrawide. I know it's not a super popular resolution yet, but there's a lot of you guys out there probably starved for some 3440 by 1440 benchmarks, so let's go ahead and hop in. First note that this is on a big team battle playlist, and big team battle tends to be a lot more demanding on the GPU, I've noticed, and I think the CPU as well, although my CPU doesn't seem to struggle in this game. So you would get better frame rates most likely if you're playing the 4v4 arena playlist. So just pointing that out. Also, if you're interested in my drivers, if I was on the Halo Infinite drivers, I would probably be getting better frame rates. I did test them out. However, I can't record gameplay on them, and it caused some other issues with my PC on like video playback and things like that. So just keep in mind that what I'm really showing you is kind of the worst case scenario here. I'm not on the Halo Infinite specific drivers, and then I also, like I said, I'm playing the big team battle playlist. So that's good news in the sense that you can probably do better than this depending on your setup. Now, you should keep CPU in mind. This game isn't incredibly CPU demanding, but it's also not super lightweight on the CPU. Mine is an R9 5950X. The game seems to go up to about 8 threads of usage, which is why you'll see mine max out at about 25% CPU usage at times, because that's 25% of my 32 possible threads. This is a 16-core, 32-thread processor, so some people misunderstand that. And you can usually tell if you're at a CPU limit, not based on its usage percentage, because it can't use all the cores, but based on your GPU usage. If your GPU is not being near fully utilized, you are probably being currently limited by the CPU. So the settings we've been looking at so far here have been 3440 by 1440 at Ultra. What I want to do next is try some resolution scaling. So this game has some really good resolution scaling, and also some people don't understand the min frame rate is a dynamic resolution scaler. So let's actually try this out first. What if I wanted to target the 144, can I not go up to 144? Oh no, can I go up to 100? Let's see, looks like I can go up to 100. So let's target 100 on the minimum frame rate. And I've also seen some people suggest that you get a more stable frame rate if you set the max frame rate equal to the minimum frame rate. Let's try it without doing that first, and then we will try it out. So notice my frame rate is now still at ultra settings, but we're now well over 100 frames per second. Now I'm giving you that frame time graph to help you get an idea of the smoothness, since that doesn't always carry over in the video, but things feel very, very smooth here. I can tell there's a slight loss of sharpness to my eye in the game, but it's by no means bad. The resolution scaler in this game is very good. I think it's some form of temporal anti-aliasing upscaling, TAAU, and it honestly, I think, is better than FSR, and right up there in image quality with scaling techniques like DLSS. And don't get me wrong, FSR is great, but when you're upscaling from a more aggressive resolution scale, it does tend to falter a bit, while this still looks pretty sharp. Got him. I love the reversal. It means he started hitting me first, but I still came back and won it. Alright, so you can see that the res scaler is able to get me to hold in around 100 FPS in this game, which is really nice. So that's what the minimum frame rate is. It's a very useful res scaler. Now it is going to be up to you whether it makes more sense to lower settings or res scale or some combination of the two. So let's go ahead and test out some other combinations. Let's see. Oh yeah, I'm gonna die. Oh well. Let's see if I can set a equal min and max, because I've heard online that that can provide a very smooth experience. Although it's looking like 100. Oops, I accidentally just V-synced. You know what? It didn't seem to want to let me save the 100. So we are actually going to unlock that again. We're going to turn off the min frame rate target. We'll go back to the native stuff, but let's try out high settings. Now you'll notice it says some changes require a restart. I actually went through and tested which setting changes tell you that. And it's the textures and the effects. Nothing else gave me that warning. So this is basically high settings, but with ultra textures and ultra effects. But I can't change those settings without restarting the game, and I'm not going to quit out of this match, so there you go. This is effectively ultra textures, ultra effects, and high everything else. You'll notice the frame rate's very good. It was also good at just ultra anyway. It just depends on how high of a frame rate you want to target in a competitive game. Felt like we were in the 70s more often when we were at ultra. Looks like we're more frequently up into the 80s here at the high settings native. And remember, you can always combo this with some amount of resolution scaling. I'll probably test out that again when we're down to the medium or low settings, just to see how high we can push the frame rates. Yeah, it's looking like at high here. We are hanging out in the 80s. And again, if you're playing in more of the arena playlists, I think you generally do get higher frame rates than this on average. Can I deal with this ghost? Most likely not, but we shall see. What gun is this? I don't even understand what this gun is. Did I just blow up my teammate's ghost? Well, I don't really care. Does this have friendly fire in this game? I honestly haven't even paid attention. Alright, let's go ahead and check out going down to medium. I just got stuck with a plasma grenade, didn't I? Okay, so going down to medium. Again, it's not actually going to lower the textures and the effects. So this is basically medium settings with ultra textures and ultra effects, as far as I understand it. I got an overshield. Probably should have saved it for when I'm actually needing it, but, you know, guess I'm in combat here. Okay, looks like we're pushing up into the upper 80s and mid 90s now. So we're definitely getting a bit of a frame rate boost from going down to the medium settings. And I already said it at the beginning, but just a reminder, I would be getting better frame rates if I was on the other drivers, but like I said, they cause me all sorts of recording and video playback issues, so I have a feeling that Microsoft's early launch of this game probably maybe surprised AMD as much as anybody else, and the drivers might not have been fully baked, or maybe I'm just unlucky and having some problems on my particular hardware. Alright, let's go ahead and go down to low settings. And again, it's not really going to turn down the textures. It's not really going to turn down effects. So this is still ultra textures and effects until you restart the game, but everything else to low. And it looks like I'm pushing in on that 100 FPS mark. And it's interesting. You guys might want to compare whether it made more sense to do the dynamic res scale and leave things at ultra versus turning the settings down to low. Because it looks like we're actually getting similar frame rates, and possibly we're getting better frame rates just from that res scale. Now, the other thing that we can try out is what if we combine the two? So if you want to be your like super sweaty try hard, I really want to just get all the frame rates. I don't really care. I don't really care what my game looks like. If it looks good, cool. But if not, I just want the frame rates. I want to win the game. Then what could you do? Well, you could continue on these low settings, but you can also res scale. So let's try out going down to 1080p. That's a 75%. Now 1080p, but ultra-wide 1080p. But that's still a 75% side length resolution scale. I saw arguments about this in the comment section. The res scale is based on the side length, not the area. So even though it's 75%, it's actually cutting down further than that. It's 0.75 times 0.75. Or in other words, 3/4 times 3/4. So this is 9/16 of the area. 75% of the length along the border, if you really want to know what that's doing. But it tells you the actual resolution. Looks like we're able to get some very solid frame rates here. Up, pushing into that 120 hertz monitor, 144 hertz monitor kind of territory. And honestly, the res scale still looks really good. So, hey, since the game ended, I guess that's a good place to stop the video. I hope this was useful info for you guys. Hopefully you like the ultra-wide benchmarks. I might do more in the future if they get enough views. We'll see. Have an excellent day.